Hello, welcome to tonight's reading of the Mowgli stories. And we start on the top of this new chapter, the spring running. So, here, all that thing about the dhol coming and being all slaughtered by Mowgli and uh, his family, the wolves, and Ka and all that we saw last time. Now it is the spring running. The second year after the great fight with the red dog and the death of Akela, Mowgli must have been nearly 17 years old. He looked older for hard exercise, the best of good eating, and baths whenever he felt in the least hot or dusty had given him strength and growth far beyond his age. He could swing by one hand from a top branch for half an hour at a time when he had occasion to look along the tree roads. He could stop a young buck in mid-gallop and throw him sideways by the head. He could even jerk over the big blue wild boars that lived in the marshes of the north. The jungle people who used to fear him for his wits feared him now for his strength. And when he moved quietly on his own affairs, the mere whisper of his coming cleared the wood path. They respected and feared and virtually worshipped him. And yet, the look in his eyes was always gentle. Even when he fought, his eyes were never blazed as Bagheera's did. They only grew more and more interested and excited. That was one of the things that Bagheera himself did not understand. He asked Mowgli about it, and the boy laughed and said, "When I miss the kill, I'm angry. When I must go empty for 2 days, I'm angry. I'm very angry. Do not my eyes talk then?" "The mouth is hungry," said Bagheera, "but the eyes say nothing. Hunting, eating, or swimming is all one, like a stone in wet or dry weather," said Bagheera. Mowgli looked at him lazily from under his long eyelashes, and as usual, the panther's head dropped, and Bagheera knew his master. Bagheera is the panther, and Mowgli looks in his eyes, and Bagheera's head will drop because Mowgli is the master and Bagheera is the slave. They were lying out far up the side of a hill overlooking the Wainganga, and the morning mists hung below them in bands of white and green. As the sun rose, it changed into bubbling seas of red gold churned off, and let the low rays stripe the dried grass on which Mowgli and Bagheera were resting. It was the end of the cold weather. The leaves and the trees looked worn and faded, and there was a dry ticking rustle everywhere when the wind blew. A little leaf tapped furiously against a twig, and as a single leaf caught in a current will. It roused Bagheera, for he snuffed the morning air with a deep, hollow cough, threw himself on his back, and struck with his forepaws at the nodding tree leaf above. "The year turns," he said. "The jungle goes forward. The time of the new talk is near. That leaf knows it is very good." Mowgli replied, "The grass is dry." And pulling up a tuft, he said, "Even eye of the spring, the little trumpet-shaped waxy red flower that runs in and out among the grasses. Even uh, even eye of the spring is shut. And Bagheera, is it well for the black panther to so lie on his back and beat with his paws in the air as though he were a tree cat? Oh, said Bagheera, he seemed to be thinking of other things. I say, is it well for the black panther to mouth and cough and howl and roll? Remember, we are the masters of the jungle, you and I. Indeed, yes, I hear, Mowgli. Bagheera rolled over hurriedly and sat up, the dust on his ragged black flanks. He was just casting his winter coat. We are surely the masters of the jungle. Who is so strong as Mowgli? Who is so wise? There was a curious drawl in that voice that made Mowgli turn to see whether by any chance the Black Panther was making fun of him. For the jungle is full of words that sound like one thing but mean another. I said, we are beyond question the masters of the jungle, Bagheera repeated. Have I done wrong? I did not know that the man cub no longer lays upon the ground. Does he fly then? Mowgli sat with his elbows on his knees, looking out across the valley at the daylight. Somewhere down in the woods below, a bird was trying over in a husky, reedy voice the first few notes of the spring song. It is no more than a shadow of the liquid tumbling call he would be pouring out later, but Bagheera heard it. I said, the time of the new talk is near, growled the panther, swishing his tail. I hear, Mowgli answered. Bagheera, why do you thus shake all over? The sun is warm. That is Pharaoh, the scarlet woodpecker, said Bagheera. He has not forgotten. Now I too must remember my song. And he began purring and crooning to himself, harking back, dissatisfied again and again. So, since the scarlet woodpecker sang his song, now Mowgli remembers he has also to sing his own, Bagheera's own song. Bagheera remembers and is trying it. There is no game afoot, said Mowgli. Little brothers, are both your ears stopped? There is no killing bird, but my song that I make ready against the need. I had forgotten. I shall know when the time of the new talk is here, because when you and the others all run away and leave me alone. Mowgli spoke rather savagely. But indeed, little brother, Bagheera began, we do not always. I say you do, said Mowgli, shooting out his forefinger angrily. You do run away, and I, who am the master of the jungle, must needs walk alone. He was it last season. How was it last season when I would gather sugar cane from the fields of a man pack? I sent a runner, I sent you to Hathi, bidding him to come upon such a night and pluck the sweet grass for me with his trunk. He came only 2 nights later, said Bagheera, cowering a little. And of that long sweet grass that pleased you, so he gathered more than any man cub could eat in all the nights of the rains. That was no fault of mine, said Bagheera. He did not come upon the night when I sent him the word. No, he was trumpeting and running and roaring through the valleys in the moonlight. His trail was like the trail of 3 elephants, for he would not hide among the trees. He danced in the moonlight before the houses of the man pack. I saw him, and yet he would not come to me. and I am the master of the jungle. It was a time of the new talk, said the panther, the Bagheera, always very humble. Perhaps, little brother, you did not that time call him by a master word. Listen to Pharaoh and be glad. Mowgli's bad temper seemed to have boiled itself away. He lay back with his head on his arms and eyes shut. I do not know, nor do I care, said Mowgli sleepily. Let us sleep, Bagheera. What a nice laid-back life for Bagheera and Mowgli in the jungle. My stomach is heavy in me. Make me rest for my head. The panther lay down again with a sigh because he could hear Pharaoh practicing and repracticing his song against the springtime of new talk, as they say. In an Indian jungle, the seasons slide one into the other almost without division. There seem to be only two, the wet and the dry. But if you look closely, below the torrents of rain and the clouds of char and dust, you will find all four going around in their regular ring. Spring is the most wonderful because she has not to cover a clean, bare field with new leaves and flowers, but to drive before her and to put away the hanging on, over surviving raffle of half green things which the gentle winter has suffered to live, and to make the partly dressed, stale earth feel new and young again. And this she does so well that there is no spring in the world like the jungle spring. There is one day when all things are tired and the very smells as they drift on the heavy air are old and used. One cannot explain this, but it feels so. Then there is another day. To the eye, nothing whatever has changed. When all the smells are new and delightful, and the whiskers of the jungle people quiver to their roots, and the winter hair comes away from their sides in long, draggled locks. Then perhaps a little rain falls, and all the trees and all the bushes and the bamboos and the mosses and the juicy-leaved plants wake with a noise of growing that you can almost hear, and under this noise runs day and night a deep hum. That is the noise of the spring, a vibrating boom, which is neither bees nor falling water, nor the wind in the treetops, but the purring of the warm, happy world. That is how spring comes in the jungle, in the tropics. Up to this year, Mowgli had always delighted in the hum of the seasons. It was he who generally saw the first eye of the spring deep down among the grasses, and the first bank of spring clouds, which are like nothing else in the jungle. His voice could be heard in all sorts of wet, star-lighted blossoming places, helping the big frogs through their choruses, or mocking the little upside-down owls that hoot through the white nights. Like all his people, spring was the season he chose for his fleetings, moving for the mere joy of rushing through the warm air, 30, 40, or 50 miles between twilight and the morning star, and coming back panting and laughing and wreathed in strange flowers. The four did not follow him on these wild ringings of the jungle, but went off to sing songs with other wolves. The jungle people are very busy in the spring, and Mowgli could hear them grunting and screaming and whistling according to their kind. Their voices then are different from their voices at other times of the year, and that is one of the reasons why spring in the jungle is called the time of the new talk. So, coming of spring is so special. But that spring, as he told Bagheera, his stomach was changed in him. Ever since the bamboo shoots turned spotty brown, he had been looking forward to the morning when the smells would change. But when the morning came, and more the peacock, blazing in bronze and blue and gold, cried aloud all along the misty woods, and Mowgli opened his mouth to send on the cry. The words Mowgli choked between his teeth, and a feeling came over him that began at his toes and ended in his hair, a feeling of pure unhappiness, so that he looked himself over to be sure that he had not trod on a thorn. So he was unhappy that spring as he started to welcome the spring. More cried, "The new smells." The other birds took it over. And from the rocks by the Wainganga, he heard Bagheera's hoarse scream, something between the scream of an eagle and the neighing of a horse. There was a yelling and a scattering of bandarlog in the new budding branches above. And there stood Mowgli, his chest filled to answer the more, sinking in little gasps as the breath was driven out of it by his unhappiness. He stared all round him, but he could see no more than the mocking bandarlog scuttling through the trees, and more, his tail spread in full splendor, dancing on the slopes below. "The smells have changed," screamed More. "Good hunting, little brother. Where is your answer?" "Little brother, good hunting," whistled Chill the kite and his mate, swooping down together. The two baffed under Mowgli's nose so close that a pinch of downy white feather brushed away. A light spring rain, the elephant rain they call it, drove across the jungle in a belt half a mile wide, left the new leaves wet and nodding behind and dried out in a double rainbow and a light roll of thunder. The spring hum broke out for a minute and was silent, but all the jungle folk seemed to be giving tongue at once, all except Mowgli. "I have eaten good food," he said to himself. "I have drunk good water. Nor does my throat burn and grow small, as it did when I bit the blue-spotted root that also the turtle said was clean food. But my stomach is heavy, and I have given very bad talk to Bagheera and other people of the jungle, and my people. Now too I am hot, and now I am cold, and now I am neither hot nor cold, but angry with that which I cannot see. It is time to make running. Tonight I will cross the ranges. Yes, I will make a spring running to the marshes of the north. And back again. I have hunted too easily too long. The four shall come with me, for they grow as fat as the white grubs." He called out, but not one of the four answered. They were far beyond earshot, singing over the spring songs, the moon and the summer songs, with the wolves of the pack. For in the springtime, the jungle people make very little difference between day and night. He gave the sharp, barking note, but his only answer was a mocking meow of the little spotted tree cat winding in and out among the branches for early birds' nests. At this, he shook all over with his rage and half drew his knife. Then he became very haughty, though there was no one to see him, and stalked severely down the hillside, chin up and eyebrows down. But never a single one of his people asked him a question, for they were all too busy with their own affairs. So Mowgli was feeling left out, and all the people were busy with their own affairs. Yes, said Mowgli to himself. Oh, dear God. Yes, said Mowgli to himself, though in his heart he knew that he had no reason. Let the red dhole come from the Deccan, or the red flower that is fire dance among the bamboos. And all the jungle runs whining to Mowgli, calling him great elephant names. But now Mowgli is red, and more, they must show him his naked legs in some spring dance. The jungle goes mad as tabaki. By the bull that bought me, I am the master of the jungle. Or I am not. Be silent. What do you hear? A couple of young bulls of the pack were cantering down a path, looking for open ground in which to fight. You will remember that the law of the jungle forbids fighting where the pack can see. Their neck bristles were as stiff as wire, and they bayed furiously, crouching for the first grapple. Mowgli leaped forward, caught one outstretched throat in either hand, expecting to fling the creatures backward, as he had often done in games or pack hunts. But he had never before interfered with a spring fight. The two leaped forward and dashed him aside, and without word to waste, rolled over and over, close-locked. Mowgli was on his feet almost before he fell. His knife and his white teeth were bared, and at that minute he would have killed both for no reason but that they were fighting when he wished to be quiet, although every wolf has full right under the law to fight. He danced around them with lowered shoulders and quivering hand, ready to send in a double blow when the first flurry of the scuffle should be over. But while he waited, the strength seemed to ebb from his body. The knife point lowered, and he sheathed the knife and watched. I have surely eaten poison, he sighed at last. Since I broke up the council with the red flowers, since I killed Sher Khan, none of the pack could fling me aside. And these be the only two tail wolves in the pack. Little hunters, my strength is gone from me, and presently I shall die. Oh, Mowgli, why do you not kill them both? He is talking to himself. The fight went on till one of the wolves ran away, and Mowgli was left alone on the torn and bloody ground, looking now at his knife and now at his legs and arms, while the feeling of unhappiness that he had never known before covered him as water covers a log. He killed early that evening and ate but little so as to be in good fettle for his spring running, and he ate alone because all the jungle people were away singing or fighting. It was a perfect white night, as they call it. All green things seemed to have made a month's growth since the morning. The branch that was yellow-leaved the day before dripped sap when Mowgli broke it. The mosses curled deep and warm and over his feet. The young grass had no cutting edges, and all the voices of the jungle boomed like the one deep harp string touched by the moon of the new talk, who splashed her light full on the rock and pool, slipped in it between the trunk and creeper, and sifted it through a million leaves. Forgetting his unhappiness, Mowgli sang aloud with pure delight as he settled into his stride. It was more like flying than anything else, for he had chosen the long downward slope that leads to the northern marshes. So Mowgli is on his long travel through the heart of the main jungle, where the springy ground deadened. So this is spring coming, and Mowgli feeling a little low, then going for a long uh, uh, swing around the forest, the jungle, and all the description of how the jungle behaves in spring. And it's quite a long description. So he ran, sometimes shouting, sometimes singing to himself, the happiest thing in all the jungle that night, till the smell of flowers warned him that he was near the marshes, and those lay far beyond his furthest hunting grounds. Here again, a man-trained man would have sunk overhead in three strides, but Mowgli's feet had eyes on them, and they passed him from tussock to tussock, and clump to quaking clump, without asking help from the eyes in his head. He ran out to the middle of the swamp, disturbing the duck as he ran, and sat down on a moss-coated tree trunk lapped in the black water. The marsh was away all around him, for in the spring the bird people sleep very lightly, and companies of them were coming out, going on the night through. But no one took any notice of Mowgli, sitting among the tall reeds, humming songs without words, and looking at the soles of his hard brown feet in case of neglected thorns. All his unhappiness seemed to have been left behind in his own jungle, and he was just beginning a full throat song when it came back again, 10 times worse than before. This time Mowgli was frightened. "It is here also," he said, half aloud. "It has followed me," and looked over his head shoulders to see whether it was there, standing behind him. "There is no one here." The night noises of the marsh went on, but never a bird or beast spoke to him, and the new feeling of misery grew. So he's having a different feeling now. "I have surely eaten poison," he said in an awe-stricken voice. "It must be that carelessly I've eaten poison, and my strength is going from me. I was afraid, and yet it was not I that was afraid." Mowgli was afraid when the two wolves fought. Akela and even Phao would have silenced them. Yet Mowgli was afraid. That is the true sign that I have eaten poison. But what do they care in the jungle? They sing and howl and fight and run in companies under the moon. And I'm dying in the marshes of that poison which I have eaten. He was so sorry for himself that he nearly wept. And after he went on, after they will find me lying in the black water, no, I'll go back for my own jungle, and I'll die upon the council rock, and Bagheera, whom I love. If he is not screaming in the valley, Bagheera perhaps may watch by what is left for a little, lest Chill use me as he used Akela. A large warm tear splashed down on his knee, and miserable as he was, Mowgli felt happy that he was so miserable. If you can understand that upside down sort of happiness. As Chill the kite used Akela, he repeated on the nights I saved the pack from the red dogs. He was quiet for a little while, thinking of the last words of the lone wolf, which you, of course, remember. Now Akela said to me many foolish things before he died, for when we die, our stomachs change. He said, nonetheless, I am of the jungle. In the excitement, he remembered the fight on Wainganga's bank. He shouted the last words aloud, and a wild buffalo cow among the reeds sprang to her knees, snorting. Man, oh, said Maisa, the wild buffalo. Mowgli could hear him turn in his wallow. This is no man. It is only the hairless wolf of the Simeon pack. On such nights, he runs to and fro. Oh, said the cow, dropping her head again to graze. I thought it was man. I say no. Oh, Mowgli, is it danger? Lord Mesa. Oh, Mowgli, is it danger? The boy called back, mockingly. This is all Mesa thinks for. Is it danger? But for Mowgli, who goes to and fro in the jungle by night, watching, what do you care? How loud he cries, said the cow. Thus do they cry, Mesa answered contemptuously. Who has long torn up the grass? Know how to eat it. So that is Mowgli meets the cow, and then it goes on. So quite a long write up on the life in the jungle, and spring coming, and all the emotions change.
Also, Mowgli is undergoing puberty, so
Ah.
he's dealing with a lot of that.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah, that is
The
it.
anger and everything. Now
Ah.
he finds that no one else depends on him,
Yeah.
so he's undergoing these changes. And then he said he sang, and the voice called back. There must be his voice cracking.
Ah. Yeah.
And then the anger with everyone. It all shows that. Okay, let's continue tomorrow.
Yes. So this is a very long chapter. It's about the spring and about Mowgli growing up and the various changes happening in the jungle and in Mowgli. And it's still quite a bit of description, and we'll complete this chapter next time. Thank you very much for being with me. I hope you liked the descriptions of the jungle and of the animals. Bye bye. Till next time.